Two more quick questions, and I know there's going to be a lot of questions from the audience. One is, have you been surprised as a watcher of markets, and specifically the New York Stock Exchange for almost your entire life? Have you been surprised at all over the past 2 to 3 weeks at the market's reaction? And then the last question, is there a floor? Is there a floor that we need to be watching out for?
The swings, the volatility that you mentioned, Dean, have been much more dramatic than I expected. So yeah, I've been surprised. I'm not surprised by the housing bubble ending. I think I mentioned this at dinner last night, but I'd been looking at a house in Florida for the better part of 12 months, and the price came down, and the price came down, and the price came down, and we bought it in January. So you get prices down to where they start to attract buyers again, that's all good. Is there a floor to the market? Probably. The technical types will tell you that when they broke 8,200, the market should go down to the next major support level, which is 7,300, 7,400 on the Dow. I don't know any technician that's been right more than once or twice in his or her life, so I take all of that with a grain of salt.
That's good, thank you. Well, I certainly want to open it up. We've got a handheld microphone here, and so if you have a question, if you would just raise your hand high so that Kara can see you, and if you'll state your name and maybe your major, and speak loudly so that Mr. Johnston can hear your question.
The Treasury owns the printing press. It's not backed by anything, is it? There's no gold behind it anymore. We're not on the gold standard. So when you've got a Treasury that has the printing press.
I think that's an important distinction, because the media and the politicians talk a lot about quote-unquote taxpayer dollars. That taxpayer dollars are going, my understanding of taxpayer dollars is that the government can only spend those tax dollars that they collect.
Correct.
So it's got to be the case that the Treasury is using the green ink here, right? Yeah.
Or red ink.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm all Barnes, local businessman, financial services business. Do you feel, in your personal opinion, that there's been enough criminal liability or civil liability that any of these CEOs and staffs can be prosecuted?
I think that there is room to examine some of the CEOs of brokerage firms to see what they know. Whether the Congress has the courage to continue to pursue this will be interesting, sir, to see. But one of the lovely results of the 2000, late 90s bull market was seeing people go off to jail. I think of Enron, although Mr. Lay conveniently died before he could get hauled off to jail. I think of Mr. Kozlowski, and I was the specialist in Tyco on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, and knew Mr. Kozlowski for many years and had no clue that he had this proclivity for shower curtains and $6,000 umbrella stands and whatever the heck else he had, WorldCom, Adelphia. Yeah, and you know something? They belong in jail. And I hope the guilty ones will go to jail. Come on down.
Next question in the back.
Hi, Jesse. Considering with the everything that's happening with the stock exchange, do you think that what have we learned from this situation? Do you think there will be new regulations and rules that will be made with this, or where are we headed?
There's been too much deregulation. There's time for regulation. And I am hoping that both the SEC, the Treasury, the Commodities Future Trading Commission, all of them will finally get together and realize that there's got to be regulation of all of these products that are unknown, quantities, transparency.
Other questions? Yes. Back.
Hi, my name is Trent Raymar, local wealth advisor here in Birmingham. With the credit default swap market being a non-transparent market, there's been a lot of talk about making it a transparent market. Would that potentially be negative? Sort of you flipped on the lights at the party and you found out you were amongst a bunch of ugly people?
I'm a firm believer that transparency cures a lot of evils. And so while it might have an impact on some of the things that have gone on in that marketplace, may be better to end those practices through transparency than let it continue.
Good. Other questions? We've had a lot of questions from the professional community, students. This is the part, Bill, where I just sit and wait. Somebody will get uncomfortable. Somebody will get uncomfortable enough to.
I'm Blair Madden, student in the graduate school business. You mentioned the increase of electronic trading and how it changed the stock exchange. I've read where people speculate that led to an increase in earnings for some financial services companies, which led them to look towards other sources of revenue, particularly mortgage-backed securities. Do you think that's founded in any way?
It's founded only to the degree that as the more electronic the markets get, the more difficult it is to earn commission dollars for the broker-dealer community. So they start to look for other sources of income. You're absolutely correct on that. Whether the ability of the brokerage firms to make the kind of returns that they've been having exists today, I'm not so sure. It was funny, Dean Taylor did not ask me a question that was on his worksheet that I thought he'd ask me, and that is basically, would I recommend that any of you go into the financial services business today? I would say to you only if you have great dreams of pots of gold at the end of the rainbow, forget about it. Or as they say in Brooklyn, forget about it.
Yes.
I'm Henry Call, and you don't read it. I was wondering what kind of time frame would you predict to where you see stability back in the markets?
I wish my crystal ball hadn't dropped on Continental Airlines yesterday, or I'd answer that question for you immediately. There are economists in this room that will tell you we're going to have a V recession, we're going to have a U recession, we're going to have an L recession. I know what they all mean. I'm not so sure how important it is. I think what I look for in terms of investing some of my own cash dollars is basically when the housing market stops going down and when the banks start lending money. When those two events happen, I will be very, very happy to invest some money. Until that time, as I said at this ODK dinner last night, I think you step in towards the end of the year with a little of your capital, maybe maximum a third of your capital. You invest another third in the first 6 months of 2009. You invest the last third in the last 6 months of 2009. You may not buy the low, but you probably will have a pretty good dollar average.